Hello everyone. I am dead tired. I'm thinking about the Chick-fil-A that I'm gonna get after my final class today, which is in about an hour. I'm incredibly burnt out. I'm gonna go to Chick-fil-A and I'm gonna get my BFF a milkshake because she's having a really hard day and I'm gonna surprise her with it, so I'm super excited for that. I'm currently thinking about the fact that I was supposed to watch La La Land a week ago for my film class and have not yet started the screening notes, and so I'm going to do that today. Thinking about how I have to read The Crucible again this week, which is a piece of literature that I love and I would love to direct it, but we're going to need a little break after this semester because this will be the third time that I've read it because I have to do a pitch project on it and pitch it to my class for a production idea, which I have a great idea for, might I add, but I'm exhausted and just we're gonna need a little break after this. My makeup looks poppin'. I took 10 years trying to figure out not just what makeup to wear, but what honkin' shirt to wear, so I ended up wearing this random Friends t-shirt. I'm wearing a beaded choker and rose gold makeup, and it's 70 degrees in Cedar City. We made it. My coworker asked me the other day if we were gonna go back to winter mode, to cold mode, and I said, sis, probably. And she was like, but no, I don't want that. And I said, you can guarantee warmth in June, but you shouldn't expect it sooner than that. So maybe we're being deceived, maybe we're not. I don't know. But anyway, despite all of that going on, despite the fact that I'm losing my mind, which is all fine and well, I think, despite all of that, we're gonna talk about movies today because I did watch 2 new movies in March 2021. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the March movies I watched today, which were so good, both of them. For one, Inception. Watched Inception for the first time, and here's what I knew about Inception before. It came out when I was like a pretty young kid, like a middle grade kid, when I was like 9 or 10 or something. Is around the age I was when that came out. I think I was like 9. And people were always like, whoa, that movie's so trippy. It's like a dream within a dream within a dream. And now that I've seen it, I'm like, don't say it's not like that. Because the whole time I didn't know what they meant. Like, I thought that it actually was really like trippy and confusing and weird. Which it's like, it's trippy and it's like, it's a brain, like it takes some brain work. It's confusing if you don't keep up with it, which I'll get to that in a minute. I was like, don't say it's like a dream within a dream within a dream. That's literally the plot of that's literally the plot of the movie. And so, like, age 21, I watched that movie for the first time, and I'm like, well, it's not like that. It is that. So that's super awesome. It was astonishing. Literally, okay, so here's my thing about the brain work. I think that it's a movie that's not for everybody because I think a lot of people, which I don't shade this at all, I know that you guys know my personal philosophy of film. I like to write and direct a lot of different things, and with film, my main goal, which is not the same as my goal in like literature or in plays or other stuff like that most of the time. My film goal is usually people just want to have fun and they go to escape the reality of the world and they just kind of want to see something awesome. That's usually what I've gotten out of people with film. I think that with that in mind, like, it's good to keep in mind that like Inception isn't for a lot of people, that like that's the only reason that they do movies, because like it takes brain work and so they're like, oh my gosh, it's so confusing, it's so like whatever, it's wow, it didn't make sense. It's because you have to keep up with it. And so what I did, so I have to take screening notes from my film class. It was the film that we studied, mise en scène, we studied with that movie, which, fantastic choice. Essentially, we were design and stuff, like, is what we were studying. And I'm like, I couldn't agree more. Great choice. And it's a very symbolic movie, so that was awesome. So I take notes for my film class in 3 categories: characters, themes, and aesthetics. Aesthetics. My roommate says that I should not say it like that. Aesthetics. Isn't it great that I am studying English and talk like I have spoken English for literally 3 days? But anyway, yeah, so I take notes on all of those things. But while I was taking the notes, while I watched the movie, I literally just took notes on the plot line as well, because like it's one of those things that you have to keep up with. So I like wrote down like the things that were happening as like we realized what was happening, just so that I could keep up with it. There's a lot to take in there and it's a very complex story, but it's understandable if you just try to keep up with it. And I think that's one of the reasons I liked the movie so heckin' much. I loved it because, like, it's involved. You're not passive. If you are passive, you're not gonna like it because you're not gonna get it. But you're, like, actively involved in the story because, like, you have to work really hard to keep up with what's going on. So I really liked that. It was amazing. Design, beautiful, amazing manipulations of, like, time and space, which we talk about in film a lot. Like, how do they manipulate time and space? How do they not in this movie? Because some things are, like, realistic, and then some things are like, oh, this is a dream, so it doesn't have to be realistic. Just the way it was thought out of, like, how things happen in their brains. The characters are all awesome, and their names are very symbolic. We talked a lot about that, and I could just go on forever, because you guys know I love names, symbolism, and name symbolism, so I was like, yes! One thing, ooh, I think this has converted me. I don't even know if I've seen any of his other films, but I'm about to, because this kind of converted me into a Christopher Nolan person, a writer-director. I can get behind that, and people say this is, like, very much his style. And I'm like, dude, if this is the type of thing you like to do all the time, I'm so for it, because this was awesome. Leonardo Dicaprio is a talented angel, as is Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Everyone's converted to him after watching 10 Things I Hate About You, but I was like, I'm a full-on stan now. I was like, he is so talented, especially after watching, like, behind-the-scenes videos of him filming that scene in the hallway. He had to, like, learn and rehearse the choreography for them because they were in an actual rotating hallway with cameras set up to either make it look like the room was spinning or like we were spinning. And I was like, okay, first of all, that is some incredible direction, incredible choreography. And I was like, his talent, and just listening to him talk about it, his dedication to being like, oh, it was so fun because there's nothing like live action acting, really doing what you're acting. And I was like, okay, you are awesome. And everyone in that movie was really talented. Designers, actors, writer, director, all the things were just, like, the talent was so, like, in your face there. And, like, the story, I didn't even talk about Maul. I didn't even talk about the top. But I don't know what to say because it's so good. Like, it's just so good. So that's my review of the film. There was just a lot of talent, dedication, and good thought put into that. And in order to appreciate it, you have to put in the good thought as well, is essentially what I'm getting at. So if you haven't seen it, then don't go into it with an idle mind. I'll leave it at that. Another movie I watched was a masterpiece called The Imitation Game, starring our dear Benedict Cumberbatch. What an angel. That guy, I don't know. I, like, remember, like, after that movie got done, I, like, just laid on the couch for a few minutes and, like, felt. I was like, what just happened? And I was like, also, I will never love again. Just Benedict Cumberbatch, the only person on my mind ever now. It was stupid talented in playing Alan Turing. It's about the geniuses that saved us in World War II and that stopped the Nazis, and the inventor of what would become the modern computer, and how they used the computer to save World War II. It was awesome. Really good story. A lot of people didn't like it because it was slow and they don't like character-based films. Again, I think that's just a matter of you don't like movies that make you think. If I'm being honest, which, if that's your thing, okay, like, but they just don't like movies that make them think because it's about the person and you have to think about the person. People are more complicated than fighting scenes are. People that, like, I don't actually, you know what, like, if take of this what you will. If you want it to come off as shade, go ahead. If you don't, also go ahead. But if you like superhero movies, or not even if you like them, but if superhero movies are your favorite type of movie, just, I don't really understand. And I think it's because, like, to me, that's boring. Because I'm like, oh, they're fighting, but why do we care? And so, if you like superhero movies as your, like, number one type of movie, like, if you're, like, all into the Marvel scene, I don't know if you're gonna like Imitation Game. You might, because, like, I don't know you and I'm just generalizing right now. Like, I can't fit people into the box that I'm putting you in right now. I can't fit all people into that box. This is not to shade, I don't like superhero movies. This is just to shade them, not you. But, like, if you are more into action-based things, this is like a person-based thing, and so it's very different. You have to think about what the people are motivated by and like what they're thinking and why they're doing what they're doing, because it's very cool that way, because this is a movie about war. It's about one of the greatest wars ever, World War II, and it's about how these people, it wasn't all that was happening on the front lines. That wasn't the entire war. And so it's interesting how, like, you hear this is a movie about war and you think it's going to, like, you think of action things, but this is the movie about the other side. It's about the minds. It was about the thought process that happened that gave us the ability to win that war. This had to happen before this could happen. And so that, I think, is great. I think that's very interesting how those correlate. Like, if you didn't like the movie because it wasn't very active, yeah, this is a movie about how the thought has to come before the action. So that's awesome. A lot of people didn't like it because they don't like math. It's about people that do math. But the way I see it, I'm like, dude, you weren't doing the math. You weren't doing the math, and like, it's not like you had to think about the math that was being done. I didn't even notice it. Like, they talked about math occasionally because they had to, because they were math people. But then, like, they just, like, said what the math was doing for them in the war, for the rest of us normies that aren't math people. And so I was like, guys, I don't know why you didn't like it if you don't like math. So there's my hot take on why people didn't like it, but why you can like it. It was, we studied cinematography in this film, and what an astonishing choice. The camera work, like the angles used, the like blocking of like, oh, you're above him and he's down here, he's like this. It's one of those, like, could I do a director's commentary on that movie? I didn't direct it, but somebody did, and they did an amazing job. I'm now converted to Keira Knightley. I don't know if I've ever, like, really seen her in anything. I know that she's famous for, like, Pride and Prejudice and, like, Pirates of the Caribbean, and like, she's a very big name in those things, none of which I've seen. But this converted me to her and her talent. Again, a very talented bunch of actors, great characters, which that's kind of the point. This is a film about characters, and so well written. I really liked the script. I really liked the screenplay. And whenever I see a good movie like this, I always am just like, I would love to read the screenplay, because so much of the screenplay, it's not about what is actually said. Plays are pretty much about what is said, like the dialogue. But screenplays are about creating a visual with words. I just think about that and I'm like, I would love to read this screenplay. Screenplays are so interesting like that, and see like what was written to make what we saw. Especially, you guys, I think you guys know that this is like my favorite movie now ever since I saw it, A Quiet Place. I would love to read that screenplay because all the dialogue is pretty brief. Most of it is just what we see and like what we hear. And so I would love to see what they did with that screenplay, because that would be incredibly interesting, since so little is actually said but so much storytelling happens at the same time. And that's my thoughts. Some great movies. I feel like I'm a little bit scatterbrained right now. I'm sorry if any of you superhero fans feel hurt. It's been a while since I've roasted superhero movies, I guess, but I think you're awesome. And you know what? I hope you have a great day and know how much I love you, and thanks for coming. Thanks so much, love. Bye.